Martha MacCallum, fresh off hours of great coverage on Fox News, getting set to host your show at 3 o'clock. We are, your reaction to Mar-a-Lago, you cover that too after you made the announcement.
Well, I think it's so interesting to hear from Dana White there. And one of the things we talked about last night is that every campaign, every era has its medium. And, when Nixon did a debate on television, that was a big deal. And we've had all of these years of strong cable coverage of politics. But this was a podcast moment, and these guys deserve their credit because people are listening to a longer form podcast, all the ones that we do here as well at Fox. And I think there's something to be said for that. They called it the diving deep into this bromance kind of coverage, but I think it made a difference with a lot of young men. They went to meet them where they were, and I think that was a significant part of this victory. And they're Black, Hispanic, white, all different backgrounds. But I thought Trump's speech last night was really an extraordinary moment, and Dana White's exactly right. I mean, no one is more resilient than this human being. It's absolutely extraordinary. I mean, any one of these things would have broken any of us to be under the kind of pressure that he's been on. He thrives under pressure. Remember, every time he got indicted, he kept moving up in the polls. So, I mean, all of these moments have just made him more kind of aggressive and anxious to fix the country. I think it's just it's the most intense political story and person on the political scene that we have seen in our lifetimes.
Just an observation about Trump. Remember how calm he was after the Access Hollywood tape came out?
Yes.
And remember how he walked around and asked people, what do you think I should do? And evidently he just walked around Trump Tower. What do you think I should do? How should I handle it? Other people go, I quit. And Ryan Spreber says, you got to drop out. So he calm. And then last night, he should have had every ultimate moment, both hands in the air. What did I tell you? Come back complete. Instead, he was of nod. He was composed. When J.D. Vance made his statement, this is the greatest comeback ever, he just nodded and winked at him.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Remember Jim Brown had that statement, when you get to the end zone, act like you've been there before, you put the ball down. He acted like I've been there. What did I tell you?
And he could have spiked the ball. It wasn't a moment for that. I'm glad he didn't. And he was just taking it all in and said what an honor it is to be president of the United States, and how you could sense what he wanted is to get back there and get to work, to do the job. And I think we've seen not a lot of that over the last 4 years.
I don't even know. We're finding out what it's like to not have a president, because don't tell me that Joe Biden's doing the job. There's no way. Jackie Heinrich just put this out. Two sources confirm that the Harris campaign has been radio silent this morning. They have sent 0 talking points to surrogates, donors, or influencers. One source says they got no answers even after reaching out. Brett told me they expect something at 5 or 6 o'clock. Other news, how people responding. Whoopi Goldberg refuses to say Trump's name on The View after he's reelected president. Sonny Hostin is profoundly disturbed by Trump's win.
On Kamala Harris, she should have, in my opinion, ripped the Band-Aid off last night, walked out there. She had thousands of people that were waiting to hear from her. They had this beautiful stage, a setting that means something to her at Howard University. It was a moment for her to go out and say something along the lines of, this has been an extraordinary experience. I've gotten to know the American people even more deeply than I have as vice president. And I didn't get us across the finish line, but we will get across the finish line eventually. Whatever she wanted to say, it is what we saw. I said this last night, mirror image of what we saw with Hillary Clinton. I mean, we saw John Podesta come out in 2016 and say, we're not going to say anything tonight. Then we had to wait a whole day till the next day. This is not the way this should be done. American transitions should not be handled this way. And if she wants to, she certainly has had no shortage of comments about the transition at 2020. And if anything, you want to basically rise above it and do what you think is the best way to make that statement. But that's not happening, Brian.
But the other thing that Hillary Clinton did that she did and Al Gore did is bring out every celebrity under the sun. Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi,
I know. People are
Cardi
over
B,
it. And
John
you know what?
Legend.
That's honestly, this is why. I mean, how many times did they say, "Oh, Beyonce might sing tonight"? Never happened. Oh, Taylor Swift's going to be at this thing
Monday,
and because these performers are smart. They're like, you know what? I'll come out and say hello to the people, or I'll send a tweet out for you. But I'm not going to do this. And this needs to end. This celebrity stuff needs to end.
Even for your own survival. If you want to be successful.
Exactly.
And Martha, contrast this in Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump had behind him steelworkers who bucked their union management and said, I'm with Trump. And Megyn Kelly went out there, did a great job in the introduction, and turned around and go, look at these guys.
Yep.
And so
they
what do you
calluses.
want? Do you want John Legend, or you want people that actually work for a living?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what matters. This is what connects with people. There's the one factor that is more important with Donald Trump than anything, besides his incredible resilience, is his authenticity. And this is a man who is the same guy, whether he's talking to you or me or those steel workers or Zelensky or President Xi, he's the same man, no matter what environment he is in. And that is what connects with the American people. And you know, I'm sure she was trying to reach some sort of authenticity. It's not her thing, the vice president. And I think that's the kind of element that makes it's everything in an election. You can spend all the money in the world. If you can't connect with voters and show them who you really are and be funny and be smart and all of those things, you can't win.
Just quick note, McCormick's holding this lead, and you saw Selena Zito say that it's not going to move. We also have the lead holding for the Republican in Nevada, and that might be called soon for Trump. We understand, because I thought it might take some time. We also know that falling behind. I thought Mike Rogers is probably one of the great candidates. He's closed the gap even further, but he is trailing with 95% of the precincts in. He's trailing 48.54 to 48.38. So I don't know what's left to count and if it's going to matter. Yeah. But man, how he closed the gap, double-digit deficit in a blue state.
I mean, all of the Senate candidates that you just mentioned were really strong candidates, and they all finished really well. They closed the gap against career politicians. These are all, for the most part, really successful entrepreneurial Americans, very smart, serve the country, really good candidates. And we'll see how they finish out. But the Senate obviously has a majority. We know that, and we'll see where it goes from here. But hopefully we can call these races soon, because these people need to get answers.
So when Brett walked in, he said, I'm watching other channels. I can't believe how they're spinning it. Everyone's calling us basically a racist country.
Yes.
That's it?
Yes.
So here's Jon Stewart, I watched on video, and he looked totally exasperated. Did not know how to make sense of it. He had something prepared, but listen to this, cut 16.
Here's the thing. Here's what we know, is that we don't really know anything, and that we're going to come out of this election and we're going to make all kinds of pronouncements about what this country is and what this world is. And the truth is, we're not really going to know. And we're going to make it seem like this is the finality of our civilization and this and thing. We're all going to have to wake up tomorrow morning and work like hell to move the world to the place that we prefer it to be. And I just want to point out, just as a matter of perspective, that the lessons that our pundits take away from these results, that they will pronounce with certainty, will be wrong.
Okay. He felt like he was misled, basically. And they get
I mean,
they get stuck on the diversity of the people that voted for Trump. And you can't just say Fox people. You can't say horrible white people. You have Axelrod saying it's misogyny. Basically, went on to vote for a woman. Your thought on this?
You know what? I'm thinking about DEI right now, right? An effort, a commission, a department in a company to try to diversify an organization. What I love...
How's that work, by the way?
Yeah, not well. And what I love is organic diversity. When people are drawn to the same dreams, they are together. I see it in my church, which has people, white people, Indian people, Chinese people, and it's not anyone's intention to create it that way. It's because they show up and they want to worship in the same way. I mean, diversity is as American as apple pie and the founding fathers, but it happens naturally because everyone is welcome to dig in and to try to have the American dream for themselves. So these people need to wake up. People don't want people entering the country illegally. They don't want people breaking into their apartments and taking them over. They don't want to pay 20% more for bread. Okay. It's not that difficult, Jon Stewart. You really don't understand what's going on?